Hey Fragrance family, I'm Daver.
And I'm George.
And we're the Fragrance Bros. Coming at you again with another review, this time with special guest George from Fragrance Apprentice. Again, how are you doing, George?
Again. Oh no, not again. Yeah, I'm doing alright, David. How are you, mate?
Doing great, great to have you on. And today we are reviewing Armani Code.
Oh
Armani.
Yeah, the classic.
Alright, so let's get straight to it. Date introduced is 2004. It's classified as an Oriental Spicy. Notes are bergamot, lemon, star anise, olive blossom, guaiac wood, leather, tobacco, and tonka bean. Now, George, what do you get of longevity out of this?
Longevity, I'd say, like super duper average. 8 to 12, not anything more than that.
Yeah, I get in the average range as well. I get less than that. I would say mine is 8 hours tops. What about projection?
Again, just extraordinarily kind of like average. It has a nice little punch at the beginning. Has a really nice punch, but after that, it's just kind of scent cloud, and it's like a rapid kind of decline.
Yeah, I get in the average range as well.
Yeah.
You know, overall performance isn't bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Season, I'd say this is great for fall and winter and nighttime mostly. And purpose, I would say this works great on formal occasions and maybe dates. Now, George, what does this remind you of?
I'm just going to say, I'm super biased. This just reminds me of my adolescence, absolutely through and through. 2006, 2007, 2008, a lot of happy memories go into this fragrance. I really like it. I'm getting the vibe that you might not be a fan of it, because I feel as though it could be quite generic to some, but it reminds me of happy times. I like the sort of like the sweet tonka kind of thing with it, and yeah, it's just good vibes for me.
Yeah, you know, back when I first started watching videos of fragrance reviewers, I remember watching Tim Sweatkoff,
Right.
You know, one of the first reviewers of fragrances, and one of his favorite fragrances at the time was Armani Code.
Yeah.
So around that time, I remember going out and smelling Armani Code, and I remember liking it. I remember having it on a little strip and smelling it, really liking it, getting a sample of it and wearing it. I wore this actually to a friend's wedding, and I thought it was good. After that, though, you know, smelling it recently for the review, I realized something has changed, and it could be one of two things. It could be either that it has been drastically reformulated, which is a possibility, or it could just be my taste has changed, or it could be both. But it seems to me that the version that I'm smelling now smells very different than what I remember it being. I remember it being beefier and bigger, and now it's kind of a watered down, just powdery version. And I also remember there being an apple-like smell at the top. I don't get that anymore. But overall, I get just kind of a spicy powder, and that's it. It literally almost smells like if there were a version of baby powder for like guys, like men, this would be the smell. I don't necessarily think that's necessarily a bad thing, but to me, it's just not as good as I think it used to be.
Well, the story that you described there, that is legitimately the same story with me with Allure Homme by Chanel, right? And it has, I mean, it's been killed, right? But so I think I have quite a sensitive nose to reformulations. I can tell quite quickly. With Armani Code, though, that is different. I think it has been reformulated, but to my nose, it's not been as drastic. But then again, maybe when I first encountered it, it wasn't, you know, it was 2006, 2007, so it wasn't brand new. Maybe it got reformulated in the first 2 years. Who knows? But I still like it. I think it's actually quite unique. Actually, I've always thought it's quite unique. The best texture that I can describe it is it has like a sweaty but kind of like oily kind of thing. I've always kind of had that with it. I like the combination of a bit of the fruit. I like that it's dark. I like that it's musky. I like that it's musky and it's got a nice impact to it, but it's not offensive. It's very, very wearable. To me, it just has a lot of the elements for like a fantastic, if not picture perfect, casual scent.
Yeah, I kind of have completely different opinions about this fragrance than you do.
I noticed.
And this is one of Armani's most popular fragrances, up there with, you know, Acqua di Gio. it's marketed as kind of a formal scent. Even if you look at it, it's supposed to be like a silhouette of like a suit. It sits kind of in this weird place where I don't really know exactly how to recommend it. I mean, I guess it can be for formal, and I said that. I guess it could be for casual, and I guess it could be for dates. The problem with it being for dates is, of course, that it's very popular. So
Right.
I wouldn't recommend it necessarily to a guy on a first date, especially. I don't even get like a dark type smell either. I get like
Really?
just a really bright white smell.
Really?
And maybe because I just smell like a powdery smell from it, and that just reminds me of the color white. So I don't really get a darkness in this fragrance at all. It's not deep, it's very shallow, and it's just a very light, bright white fragrance. It's vaguely spicy, but mostly powdery and sweet. And so it's ultimately just not my thing.
That's quite bizarre, because I get a dark brown in my mind, and I get like a suede kind of a deal.
Okay.
Like, imagery wise. But here's one thing. I remember wearing it in summer, and the connotation of what it was actually changed to be a bit of a... It works actually tremendously well in the summer. I never thought it would, but it really does, because that's when it, like, the fruits start to like flourish in a way, or start to ripen on my skin in the summertime. But in the wintertime when I wear it, I do get that sort of like leathery suede deal with matched with the vanilla and the star anise. I really love... I thought it was tonka, it's not. I love the star anise in this fragrance, and I love the way that it combines with the fruits. But one of the things I will say is that this is synthetic, and I do feel that if I didn't have the history that I have with it, and I just smelt it recently, I probably wouldn't like it as much as I have done. I think I'd still have it. I think I would have still bought it, but it's not one of those things that I like, oh, I must have it. Do I need Armani Code? Not really. There are probably 100 other fragrances that could do the job, but I do respect Armani Code for what it is.
Yeah, I really like star anise. I really like licorice and that type of dark smell. And I don't really get much of that in this.
Right.
And I do get a vague spiciness in here, and that adds kind of like this scratchy quality
Right, okay.
to the actual scent. And I can see where that spice plays in here, but it doesn't commit to the spice to me. It should
Right.
commit more. I really love spicy scents. I think that if it were more spicy, I think it would have been better. It would have been darker. And they just didn't in this case. To me, this smells like a neutered masculine. And
Right.
I don't really care for that. So what about compliments? You get many compliments with this?
Yeah, I have. It's been a real compliment getter throughout its time. It's now sort of devolved into, are you wearing Armani Code? And like at first it was like, oh, that's nice, that's good. And people have even like said to me, because it was like one of the first fragrances that I kind of wore, like, oh mate, what you wearing? I really like that. But now it is like, oh, you wear an Armani Code. It has kind of like been embellished into the culture. I think it was a massive hit in the UK, like a gigantic hit. For 1 million, Armani Code was the fragrance. So very popular, got a lot of compliments with it, can't really go wrong with that. But it's not 2006 anymore. A lot of you might want it to be, you know, but it is not, and it has aged.
It has aged.
Yeah.
As far as compliments with me, I think, my wife thought it was a little bit weird, but I have gotten compliments from it, and it is a likable scent. I will give it that. Like, it is, there is nothing that is offensive with this scent.
No.
And I think Armani did a good job at making a spicy scent that is generally acceptable to a large amount of people. That's a feat, and I think they did a good job there. I personally just want more spice,
Sure. Would you agree? Because I'm really interested to know this, because, like, all right, it is very likable, but you wouldn't say, like, it's insulting, like intelligence insulting, like Invictus by Paco Rabanne. There's definitely effort here, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, there's something about it that is good. I don't think this is a bad fragrance.
Good,
and I
right.
agree, like, it's not generic. You're absolutely right. There's something about this that is still unique to this scent.
Sure.
But it hasn't aged well, as you said, and overall, I'm just not a big fan. So bang for buck, this is $90 for 125 mils, and overall I think that's a very good value. Definitely look around. I think you may be able to find that even cheaper. For me, I think there are other fragrances out there, even though they're not clones of this, maybe they're in the same family though, that you could get that are better. So George, final rating, what do you give this?
You know, I have been thinking about this, and it's gone from 3 stars with me thinking, well, if I found this now, but you know what? I'm going to let a bit of subjective bias in for this review, and I'm going to give this 4 stars. I do really like it. I think that for the time when it was released, it was a fantastic fragrance. It has aged. Has it aged well? That's debatable. But no, I would recommend it to you if you're looking for a casual scent. And I would say that this is definitely a classic. This is one of those it fragrances that you hear about, you know, like La Mal and 1 Million or whatever. It is one of those fragrances that defined, that made it. Mm-hmm. You know, that became very popular.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
You know, this is a good fragrance. It is past its prime now, and now it's an old man in an elderly, home being taken care of.
Yeah.
So now there are other fragrances that are coming out that are better. Some that are just more timeless. But overall, it's a good scent. It is a very likable scent.
Yeah.
But it's just not a great scent, and it just hasn't kept up with the times. So for me, it's just a 3 out of 5. So that's all we have. Let us know if you've tried Armani Code. Of course you have. Let us know down in the comments down below. Do you like it, love it, hate it? Let us know. And of course, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe down below. We'll love you for it. And I'll have a link down below to George's channel where you can go and check out him and subscribe to him as well. Thank you again, George. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. A pleasure every time.
And we'll see you next time. We're the Fragrance Bros. Bye. All right, so let's get straight to it. All right, so let's get straight to it.
We're not getting straight to it. Go on.
Yeah, that's right.
3 times now. Come on.